Well, folks, I have 7 o'clock, so we'll get started. And today is April 1st, 2026. As a preliminary matter, the Woody Knight, Chair of the Newbury Planning Board, permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter Pecos.
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy.
Here.
Scott Kenter.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And Steve Bangian.
Aye.
Very good. Town staff, Kristen Groff, Planning Director.
Yes.
Martha Taylor, Special Projects Planner. I don't know if Martha's attending or not tonight. And Sadie Wood. Go ahead.
Just letting you know you're correct. She won't be attending tonight.
Okay, great. She's been very busy with us lately, so she deserves a night off. Sadie Woodward, Assistant Planner.
Here.
Very good. Good evening. April 1st, 2026. Open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GLC 30A20, until June 30th, 2027. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found at the town's website. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID number 832-7141-3056. And the passcode's 108790. Or by calling in 1929-205-6099 US and entering the meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and or telephone conference. The meeting is also being broadcast live through local access channel, cable channel 9, on Zoom, and at newburytv.wixsite.com/TNCTV. And the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Excuse me. Meeting business ground rules. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. For all attendees, please remember to mute your audio when you are not speaking. On Zoom, use the mute button, and on your telephone, if you call in, use *6 to toggle mute and unmute. There will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during the public hearings. I will see questions and comments from the members of the public through the raised hand function. Excuse me. Video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the image of the hand that appears. Please ensure that your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participants list. Telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your telephone keypad. Each participant will be called on to provide his or her name and address, and then may ask a question or make a comment. Please do your best to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Your hand will be lowered when you have been given the floor for your question. I will afford the applicant and or their representatives the opportunity to reply. Should there be a written submittal of questions or concerns, they will be noted for the record. The applicant will be afforded the opportunity to speak if the issues raised have not yet been addressed. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Very good. So that brings us to the first item on the agenda. Liaison and meeting reports. We have CBA. That would be Larry. Larry, do you have anything to report?
Just briefly, Woody, the ZBA, as you know, normally meets on the third Thursday of the month. but because of scheduling conflicts, they're meeting actually on the third Wednesday of the month, so two weeks from tonight in person. The only thing on the agenda I know of so far is a continued public hearing on 15 Central Street, Sunset Drive, excuse me. That's a special permit to take down an existing dwelling and erect a new dwelling in its place. So that's about all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Conservation Commission, we've been meeting once a month and our meeting will be next Tuesday. So we haven't had an update. I will have an update at our next meeting. MVPC, Sister City, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, so the last planners meeting, Kristen was out, but I attended. They gave some various presentations on grant opportunities available to municipalities in Massachusetts, including the One Stop for Growth grant application portal. And I think from what I understand, the grant cycle is kind of open right now. They're accepting expressions of interest, and then the deadlines for many grants are early summer. So good to know. Lots of good information. So yeah. And
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. Meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes for March 18th, 2026? And are there any corrections or concerns with the meeting minutes?
I've seen them, Woody, and they look fine to me as drafted.
Okay. Everyone else satisfied with the meeting minutes? Seeing some nods. All right.
Well, Woody, I reviewed them. I wasn't at the last meeting, so
Okay.
just to note.
Very good. Thank you, Scott. Well, then I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 18th, 2026.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Pete?
I'll be abstaining. I wasn't present.
So, yep, correct. Larry?
Yes.
Scott, you're abstaining as well?
No, I was there that meeting, so I would say yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that takes care of the meeting minutes. I have 7:08, so we have a few minutes. Do we want to jump ahead on the agenda and do we have anything from Kristen or Sadie for a plans report this evening?
I just got back yesterday, so I don't have any updates other than getting up to speed on what we're discussing tonight.
Well, I just going back to the meeting minutes, I think we voted on the 18th. Even though it was a two-meeting motion, or maybe I think it was a two-meeting motion. I think Pete abstained from the 18th, and I would be abstaining from the next one. I'm not sure if we need to do two motions. Just a question.
For meeting minutes, Sadie, did we have one set of meeting minutes or did we have two?
I thought it was just the minutes from the last meeting on the 18th.
Okay,
So it's just from from the 18th?
I believe so. At least that's all I had planned into this meeting.
Okay, sorry about that. Having a hard time hearing. So I would abstain from the 18th.
okay, we'll note that for the record and for the meeting minutes. Okay, Sadie?
Yes, got
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah,
No worries.
yeah, no worries, Scott. Does You had me wondering if I missed a set of meeting minutes, so.
Yeah,
that's quite
okay.
right. And with no plans report, and Larry doesn't have his dad jokes book, if the members of the public will just hold on for a few minutes. We'll get our first public hearing underway at 7:15.
I have a couple little things I can report on.
Okay,
The
that would be great.
report. Yeah. So I've been keeping you all updated on the Boston Road Route 1 intersection um, improvement project, and we had been waiting for a while on the MPO board to take a vote on whether or not to award the funding, and they voted to award Newbury this funding. So there will be probably some, like organizing with MVPC about a match and all that, but hopefully that we can, begin the process of getting a design study going. And yeah, so it's kind of exciting. And then the Waste Watchers workshop series has been. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The third and final workshop in the Waste Watchers series is on next Wednesday. So myself, a member of the select board, and our health agent will be in attendance, just figuring out some long-term plans for reducing waste in Newbury. So that's exciting as well. And that's all I have to report for today.
Okay, thank you, Sadie.
Woody, may I ask a question of Sadie?
Yes, go right ahead, Steve. We have about 3 minutes.
I'll be quick. Sadie, the Waste Watchers, does that get into the trash going to the transfer station, as I recall?
Yeah, that's a part of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I hope you all consider the high cost of recycled materials nowadays, where it's no longer a cash cow and it costs money. So that perhaps limiting the recycling facility to Newbury residents would be in the town's financial interest. I may have said this before, but I'm just going to reiterate that I think we ought to think about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome.
The date of town meeting, just so anyone that may be watching, we could remind them of the date of the town meeting. Is that May 5th?
It is Tuesday, May
Very good.
5th, 7 p.m. in the Triton Auditorium. What else? I did attend the select board meeting last night when they reviewed the warrant articles. There are several citizen petitions that have come in. And I think the select board took votes on each of the articles relative to supporting them. So I think the next steps leading up to town meeting are a FinCom meeting where they review the articles, primarily the financial ones. I'm not sure they generally spend too much time on the zoning amendments, but just vote that it's the will of the people in terms of the zoning amendments that the planning board has been working on. So all of that, I believe, gets wrapped up and the select board generally signs the warrant at their second meeting this month, which I believe is April 14th. And then all the materials will be posted with the town clerk and available for everybody. But yes, Tuesday, May 5th.
Very good. Thank you for that, Kristen.
Yep.
I have 7:15, so we'll get into our first public hearing this evening. It is definitive subdivision plan, 15 Central Street, assessors map U11, lot 53, for a 2-lot subdivision. Applicant owner Mike Becker, 15 Central Street, Byfield LLC. Welcome, Mike, and whoever may be with you.
Good evening, Woody,
Yep,
and members
Thank
of the board.
and we went on a sidewalk March 4th, and I'll let you get started, and then we'll talk about the sidewalk. Sorry.
I'm here this evening with my partner, Chris Avitas, the project engineer, civil engineer, Jack Sullivan, and the project surveyor, Paul Finocchio. And with that, I will turn it over to Jack to discuss the revisions based on the feedback from the peer reviewer.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Hi, board members. My name's Jack Sullivan. I'm the project engineer. Paul, if you're on, we could display he was going to share the plans if we can do so.
I requested to share. I need permission to share. Hello?
Kristen, you're
Yes,
muted.
Sadie, are you a host? Are you able to see a way for him to share? Can't hear you, Sadie.
Sorry. Okay. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay. Paul, are you able to share now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is sheet 1 of the subdivision plan, which is basically showing the area around the site. What's in black is the site itself. We did add a notation on here that the property is located in the zone 2 to a water supply. So that's the only change on sheet 1. Sheet 2 is the existing conditions plan. There was no changes to this plan since the original submittal. Sheet 3 is basically showing the by right plan, which is just showing the roadway coming in with a cul-de-sac. Sheet 4 is the proposed subdivision plan. Again, there were no changes to this plan. And sheet 5 is our proposed subdivision site plan.
Yep, I can take it from there, Paul, on sheet 5.
Okay.
So the big change to sheet 5, our previous design for the roadway, we were utilizing porous pavement. Since the site's within a zone 2 of the water supply, the peer review felt that was not the best choice for stormwater management for this site. In reviewing DEP policy, it can be used, but it's restricted and it was a bit cumbersome. So I redesigned the drainage. I actually think with this design, it's a better design now for stormwater management. I added a trench drain right at the beginning of our roadway, just off of Church Street. And water will come down that roadway, be connected with a trench drain. It'll convey to a deep sump hooded manhole. And then from there, it will convey out to a rain garden. So it's really a low impact design. The challenge on this site was just getting water from that trench drain to a lower point on the site, but I can do this all by gravity. It's not a pump system. By locating the rain garden where we show on this plan now, it'll all be gravity fed. I have some pre-treatment before the stormwater gets to the rain garden. There's a level spreader, which is basically just a riprap apron. So any total suspended solids would be removed prior to going into the rain garden. And the rain garden is basically, the board probably knows, but in case there's members of the public listening as well, it's basically a smaller scale type detention pond with plantings. It's only 2 feet deep. There's an emergency overflow, but under my storm drain calculations, the 2, 10, and 25-year storm event are fully contained. And 95% of the 100-year storm, which is almost a 9-inch storm event over 24 hours, is contained with this rain garden. And it's actually a nice landscape feature as well as a drainage feature. That was our major change. We did receive the peer review comments late this afternoon. I did have time to review them quickly. Well, I don't know if we'll read them into the record or not, but it sounds like we're very close with our design to what the peer review comments came back. By eliminating the porous pavement, that really eliminated one of the big hurdles for the stormwater. There was a question on sewage loading on the lots. So the new lot with the duplex is a 60,000 square foot lot. Since it's in a zone 2, but under Title 5, you can only have 6 bedrooms maximum. And where the existing house is, that's a little over 48,000 square foot lot. That can have 4 bedrooms max. So that could be noted. A future septic design is going to have to go to the Board of Health, and they're the ones who would review that design. But we could give the loading requirements pretty easily. The third comment was that we need some soil testing done where the rain garden was located, which we know. We did have a soil evaluator out. We did a series of about 10 test holes all over the site, but we did not do them in the area of the rain garden. I let Mr. Becker know that would be needed, and that was a comment. We have no problem with that. But the soils on site were consistent, but we would need to verify that the groundwater table and soil types are similar to what we've seen so far on this site. There was a comment as well that the existing and proposed tree lines should be shown. We haven't done that at this point, but that could easily be a condition, I think. And there was a comment that the top and bottom of retaining wall grades on each side of the roadway coming in off of Central Street should be added. That's pretty easy to do. It wasn't done, but again, if the board tonight feels that could be a condition, that's fine. If they feel we need to come back and have one more final set of plans, we're fine with that as well. But to us, it seems like we're on the home stretch. I know you guys did a site walk, so I think at this time, I'll turn it back to the board to get some feedback on the site walk and some of the comments I made. If you have any questions, I'll gladly try to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Jack. So turning to the planning board, I guess, Pete, do you have any questions or comments on what's been said and on our site walk?
No, but I'd like to, if we could, I'd like to hear from staff because I know that they've been talking with MVPC, and then after maybe those comments, we can comment more on our site walk concerns.
Okay. Sounds good. Kristen or Sadie, where are we with? I was attended that site walk as well. Where are we with MVPC as far as them determining what's going on with the intersection?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. I got in touch with them today. They haven't sent the sketches yet, but we met with them on site, on the street, on Church Street, to discuss some possible transportation changes to that intersection. Kristen, I don't know if you'd advise that I go into detail just yet since we don't have the sketches, but
well, I think it would be helpful that since the planning board site walk was our first discussion about the intersection, I feel like it would be helpful to review any observations made then following the public comments at the last hearing. Essentially, what I think has been raised is there are some concerns about safety in terms of pedestrian or other non-motorized use of that area. So that's the question that we are talking with the transportation team at the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission about, is any ideas related to improvements there. And we also talked with Mike and Teresa and the applicant on the site visit about some of those questions.
Okay, Woody.
Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, then I'll make my comments. We did the sidewalk, and I'm very grateful that we were able to do the sidewalk. And the concerns that I had, was the traffic flow coming off the Central Street onto Church Street, because it kind of moves quickly. As we were standing there were a lot of cars that came kind of at us, and so that prompted a query: should we ask MVPC for some input? And that's why I was curious as to what MVPC had to say. So personal concern is I have some concerns with the speed of traffic coming off of Central Street onto Church Street, and what safety measures should be made to address that. So those are my observations from the sidewalk, and that's why I asked the question. Thanks.
Okay. Larry, do you have any questions or comments?
Just about the rain garden, how would you provide for maintenance of the rain garden?
You're muted, Jack. Sorry.
Yeah, I just realized that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I was talking to myself. There will be an operation and maintenance plan provided for the rain garden. It's typical to landscape beds. There's weeding that has to be done. If plants die, they'd have to be replaced. There's mulch that's put in there. It's once in a while you have to remulch. So, and also that level spreader would have to be cleaned of any. I wouldn't expect much silt, but any leaves or branch buildup or things like that, you'd have to take care of just to make sure that the operation stays consistent. But we will provide an operation and maintenance plan for the entire drainage system, not only the rain garden, but the trench drain and the manholes. And, typically they're inspected 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay, so would there be a homeowners association responsible for the maintenance?
Mike, you can feel that, but I would think so because the roadway isn't just for the duplex lot. There's also parking for the single family home. So that'll be shared. So I would think there'd be some sort of, for maintenance of that road, for plowing. And then you could add the drainage operation and maintenance to that as well.
Yes, that was the. Wow. We could just add this to the.
Okay, well, I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Yep. Mike, you were having some problems there with the audio. All right, thank you, Larry. Scott, do you have any questions or comments on the observation from the site walk or anything else there?
I have no questions.
Okay, Steve, do you have any questions or comments? I can't see Steve.
Steve, you're muted too. Sorry.
Thank you, Kristen.
Steve, we still can't hear you. You're muted. There you go.
Try again. I do not have any questions. If anyone from the public has some comments, perhaps they will weigh in as well. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, we'll get to that, Steve. Thank you. My observations from the site walk were that the length of line of sight to the proposed edge of the driveway kind of short, and cars came whipping into Church Street. So that's what triggered the MVPC, as it was already stated. My other concern is there's a substantial hill there. I mean, I know there's a retaining wall on one side proposed on the subdivision roadway. My concern really is that your roadway will become a hidden drive, the way Church Street's configured now. So all of a sudden there's a car there as you turn on Church Street. So I am anticipating and eager to see what MVPC comes up with for a solution there. And from the site walk with them, I joined Sadie for the site walk for that. And they had some suggestions and they were going to draw things up. I mean, it would be a matter of turning into Church Street a little more of a 90-degree, or not a 90-degree, but not at the angle that you turn in Church Street now. And it would vastly improve the line of sight there. And as you turn onto Church Street. So I'd like to see what they come up with. And it would also help with slowing people down as they turn onto Church Street. So those are all observations I made on the sidewalk, and two sidewalks, I should say, and I would really like to see what they come up with. Does any of the planning board members or staff have anything else to say before I turn to public comment? Hear nothing?
Yeah, well, sorry, Woody, it's Kristen. Excuse me for interrupting. Sadie and I have had some preliminary conversations with MVPC, so maybe, Sadie, it's worthwhile just mentioning a few of the things that were discussed with Brendan. We are still waiting for, some design concepts of potential improvements to consider, but maybe it's worth just mentioning a couple of things that have been talked about so far.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Can you hear me okay? Is it coming
Yep.
through? Okay. Yeah, so it seems like the easiest possible, or just like, the one that makes the most sense. The option is to kind of what Woody was just describing, is kind of teeing off Church Street against Central Street, and instead of an acute angle there, it would be more of a perpendicular turn, right turn onto Church Street, and we would square off the like corners of the intersection there, and make it narrower so that it is, it encourages cars to slow down entering Church Street, and placing some structures on either side of the entrance there. There was also, in conversation with MVPC, the idea was brought up, and with the planning board chair and vice chair, the idea to dead end the entrance to Church Street and have cars only enter from the other side. And then that would, make it so that just the residents of Church Street are the ones traveling on that road. The ideas are still very much, in discussion. So, but there's a couple different things that we've discussed, and it'll be good to have a visual of different options.
Hey, can you send us a? Sorry, Woody. Sadie, would it be possible that you could send us and the design team the possible options? I love all those options, by the way.
Yeah, I can definitely forward those to you once we receive them from MVPC, for sure.
Great.
And after Sadie's comments, I'd like to further comment on. As time's gone on here, I'm not a fan of closing Church Street. I think more people use Church Street than we and we would know. So by being there quite a few times now, I think that with the appropriate angle there, it would slow cars down quite a bit, and it would all take place on town-owned property. It wouldn't entail going into either side of the road there. Also, in the front of that existing house that's there now, just some sort of a planting bed or something that encroached the right of way would help. But like I said, I really would like to see what MVPC comes up with, because leaving the road open would be a great option. And that whole neighborhood's gone through some reconfiguration of traffic patterns, well, years ago, over 10 years ago, and a few streets in the downtown area, village of Byfield, was configured one way. Church Street was one of them. It used to be two-way. And at the other end of Church Street, I think it continued to be Church Street after you go through the stop sign. The end of Moody Street and the other end of Church Street were both reconfigured so that you came out to Central Street and Main Street. You come on this example, you came out to Main Street in more 90-degree angles so that your line of sights were better looking both ways. Whereas before they came out at acute angles like this. So I just wanted to mention that for the public and for the applicants to look at the Moody Street. You can still kind of tell where they've planted grass and reconfigured the end of Moody and the other end of Church. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, Jack, if you could, please pull the map down so we can, so I can see the thing, if you don't mind. Stop share screen. Now I'll turn it over to public comment. Do we have any raised hands this time?
Yes, you have planning board member and member of the public.
Okay, who's the
Steve.
planning board? Steve, go ahead. We'll start with
Yep.
the planning board member first, sorry.
Woody, I share your concerns about dead-end streets. Certainly where I live, I'm well aware of how plowing presents some interesting challenges when you have a dead-end street as well. So I think the reservations that you voiced are well-founded. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Steve. It was, at first, it seemed like a great idea, but I know they've caused problems in the past with plowing, with emergency response, with just overall. So I believe, I know Church Street's used more than, it's not just a simple quiet street. On all the sidewalks I've been there, multiple cars have gone by us while we were standing there. So they use it to cut through, and they don't go all the way down to the post office. And like I said, it's always reconfigured in the past to make things safer and for traffic flow to go through easier. So, all right, now I'll turn to the public. Raise hand, first raise hand, Sadie or Kristen?
Yep, Melissa.
Hi, thank
Your
you
name
for
is-
staying. Oh, my name is Melissa Gasper. My husband Larry is here too, 3 Johnson Lane,
Thank you.
where our home is right behind the gas station, which is next door to this property. Thank you for talking about how the street is busier than it might at first seem. It is a cut through to West Newbury and other sections, and from living here and going in and out, I mean, people fly down that road and sometimes don't even see the stop sign. My husband and I have seen that a few times, that people just forget it's a 4-way stop, or they're not used to it, or they don't see it. It's a heavily trafficked road, and but thank you. It seems like you do understand that. But also, do you have a plan about where those mailboxes are going to go that are, because it being a one-way road, the postal delivery truck can only go down that road one way, so all the mailboxes have to be on the right-hand side.
Yes,
And they are right where the driveway is.
yep. We discussed that on the sidewalk, and I'll let the applicant respond to that if they will, please. Mike Becker, are you frozen right now?
Nope, I'm here.
Okay.
So, we discussed on the site walk was, I think we'd have to move those about 5 feet to the left. Paul, do you wanna weigh in on that?
Is there 5 feet there?
Yes, we talked about moving the two mailboxes just to the left of the utility pole that's out there now. So you're talking about 5 feet of moving those mailboxes that are there to the other side of the utility pole.
Okay, and there's enough room?
Yes.
I'm not picturing that there was enough, 5 feet was enough there, but okay. I did have another question, but it wasn't about the road or the traffic. So should I wait for other comments?
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead,
Okay.
Melissa.
I would just like to ask the planners and builders if they have confidence that they are going to be able to build this structure, even with the ledge that is pervasive on that property. I mean, we've seen neighbors have to deal with ledge. It took months and months and months of hammer drilling, chemicals, everything. Have you tested, like, do you have confidence you're going to actually be able to build this where you have it?
We've done test pits at the property, 8+ feet deep in the area where the duplex is. So I'm not so concerned with that. I'm sure there'll be some hammering where the ledge is, where the road is coming out to the front. I have extensive experience with ledge. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. Any other raised hands from the public?
There is Mike F.
Okay, Mike F., just your name and full name and address for the record, and your questions or comments, please.
Hi, Mike Fabiano. I just recently purchased 17 Church Street. I moved in recently, fully aware that there was going to be, this proposed subdivision. I definitely have a list of things that I wasn't there for the last meeting. This is the first time joining. The first thing I'd like to talk about would be that the road that we were first discussing. I think it's a great idea getting some opinions from the outside company. But I do like that idea of dead ending that street. I know snow load is a concern, but even just pulling down it this afternoon, there's definitely a lot of room there to store snow, in my opinion. But like you guys said, we'll wait back to hear from their review. But I do agree with that. I think dead ending it is a fantastic idea. I think that will satisfy definitely the surrounding neighbors, including myself. As far as the duplex and the building itself, one of my concerns is, of course, screening and this structure that's going to be built on top of this ledge, and it's basically going to be towering over my backyard now. So I know, well, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the height restriction for buildings is 35 feet. You can add another 10 to 15 feet, depending on exactly where this house is going to be put on top of this ledge. I mean, I know the ledge kind of slopes down towards the back of the property there, but I'm just very concerned about the height of it, the location of it to my property line, and any possible ways of screening this with leaving trees, adding plantings and a plant wall. I'm not asking, to plant arborvitaes down the front to back of the property. I'm not asking for that at all. I'm just thinking we can talk about something, agree to a screening method for my property.
Would someone like to answer that? And it would also be nice if maybe you popped up a map and so you could show Mike where the house location is going to be. So with his first time attendance, it would be great for him to see where that is in location to his property next door.
Is
Mr.
Paul still sharing?
I believe he's, do they still have sharing access, Kristen, Sadie?
Good, but Jack, if you'd like to share, I can give you that capability.
Sadie, if you can have Paul, if you can enable him, he has the plans.
Okay, yeah, probably.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, what was the abutters Mike's address again?
17 Church
17.
Street.
Yep.
What sheet do we like to see? This is the roadway coming in. So this is number 17, I believe. His house is right here. And the proposed duplex will be back up in this area here.
Paul, can
And
you
if
pull the sheet with the topography?
Yes. This one here is the existing conditions plan. So there's a large hill here. His house is over in this area right here. And again, the proposed duplex is back in this area right here.
There is a pretty large boulder to the immediate right of his house that would screen the house from the road. Maybe not the duplex, but as you can see, there's pretty significant topography from where we're proposing to put the house down the hill in the looks like 76 elevation versus the height of the.
If I could just
Yeah, I can't really. It's between 76 and 82, 80 elevation for the proposed duplex, and the ledge is at, it looks like, I don't know, Paul, can you zoom in on that?
I'm trying to do that now. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, the ledge is up around elevation 90. So let's just say an average 90.
Yeah, so ballpark 10 feet higher than the ground elevation of the front of the building.
Correct.
Of the duplex.
Yeah.
So, and then the ledge outcropping is, I've been out there, I'm going to say it's 8 to 10 feet tall on top of that. The big boulder.
Yep, I see that.
So there'll be some screening provided by that. We have no intention of removing any trees to the left of that ledge boulder between there and the retaining wall that's shown on the plan. So from the perspective of screening, I don't know exactly where your house is based on this plan, but it seems like there will be a pretty good amount of screening with, it's pretty dense foliage now that exists, pine trees and other trees that, Paul, do you have the tree plan?
Yes, hold on.
So the top of that ledge is basically in line with the back of my house. And then from your plans here where the proposed duplex is going, it basically, from pretty much when like you open up my back door, you'll just, bam, you'll see this big duplex there. So I guess another question too, might help kind of answer would be what's exactly the setback from the property lines is where the start of this duplex is going to be. Because I don't know if I see it or if maybe I missed it in whatever you submitted if you had setbacks.
We're well outside of the setbacks.
Okay.
Well,
what is
Paul, yeah, this is a good plan to see the trees and the foliage if you want to go over that first, and then we'll go over the distance on the setbacks. But as you can see, there's a lot of trees around that ledge outcropping, and anything that's from the ledge to the left, we won't remove. Some of them that are kind of sloping down the hill where the house is going to be will get removed, but that they look to be redundant relative to what you're looking through. Like there's more 8, 10 inch, 18, 20 inch trees before you'd even get to the ones that we're going to remove, which would be in front of the shed.
Yeah. I'm not too concerned with the ones that close to the ledge. There's definitely a good from the back side of the ledge towards. My shed's not really on there. Essentially, your shed and then my shed are pretty close to each other. So I've just been looking to hopefully work with you on some extra screening between the back side of the ledge towards my shed. Not looking, like I said, I'm not looking to put up a big wall there or anything. I'm just looking to work with you.
Yeah, if you want to pass along your contact info to Sadie or Kristen,
Yep.
happily give you a call. We'll take a walk and discuss,
Sure.
what stuff we can add in addition to what trees we can preserve in there.
Yep.
That would
Paul,
be
do you have
great.
the location plan where you can show the setbacks?
Yeah, Paul, confirm. I have the minimum side yard setback being 25 feet.
Yeah, we're greater
And
than 20 feet.
we're well over 25 feet.
Do you have a ballpark figure-ish?
On the left side, it looks to be 40 or 50. On the right side, I think we're around 30. That's ballpark.
Is this the setback for the roadway or is this a setback for the duplex? That you're trying to figure out right now?
I think he's asking how close it's going to be to his lot line. Do I have that correct? Is that the question?
Yep. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So
for
the road is 36 feet, just looking at the scale. So it looks to be more than that. Just eyeballing it.
The road doesn't bother me because, like you said, there's that big ledge sticking up there, and there's some pretty good screening with that. And I believe you guys are cutting in about 5 feet down ish. I think was said. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Something like that. I'm just using that for scale.
Yeah. Like the road screening. I mean, there is. With lights coming in and turning in, that is an issue that I have also. But I mean, it's kind of is what it is. You're gonna have to leave as many trees as you can with that. And then from the end of your proposed road there, is there going to be a driveway that connects to the duplex, or is that like a walking area? Or
no, there'll be driveway. There'll be a driveway for each unit.
Okay, so then that would be a concern I have with lights turning, and essentially you could have at least 4 cars there, quite a bit of traffic coming in and out. So I mean, I have bedrooms on that side of my house, so there's definitely a screening concern I have on that side.
Your house,
in addition with the park.
Where that retaining wall ends?
Sorry, repeat.
The retaining wall that runs along the left side, is that approximately the back of your house?
Yes. Ish.
Did you have any other questions, Mike?
I'm sorry. I know I kind of took the floor. I can pause.
No, but do you have any other questions other than what you've stated so far? Screening concerns really is the major thing that I've heard here.
Yeah, the screening concern. I won't talk about the road, the entrance to Church Street, just because it's in further review. It appears.
Yep.
And another concern. Oops, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And just another concern that I had too is this is much more future thinking. Is just this is say this this all happens, and then down the road, a fear of mine is an ADU coming up in this place. So then your 2-family turns into a 3-family, and then your single family out there could turn into a 2-family. So that's a fear I have, is that these ADUs down the road you could just have this pop up, and now what? Now we got triple the traffic there.
I can take that, Mr. Chairman. ADUs, yeah, they will pop up, but in Newbury, where you're on septic and we're in a zone 2 water supply, we're limited on bedroom count. And as I stated earlier, for the duplex lot, we're a little over 60,000 square feet. You're allowed 1 bedroom for every 10,000 square feet of land area. And we've already said this will be 3 bedrooms per unit, so 6 bedrooms. So this lot wouldn't support a future ADU unless storage ever became available. But as long as it's on septic, no.
Okay.
All right. All right, thank you, Mike. And Mike, I would encourage, Mike, contact Kristen Sadie and give your contact information. I encourage the two Mikes to have a discussion
Thank you.
before the next meeting. That would be great, so that your concerns can be met. So Mike Becker seemed open to that.
Thank you for your comments, Mike.
Yep. Any other raised hands, Kristen?
There is Joyce, a couple.
Okay, Joyce, your name and address for the record and your questions, comments, please.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, good.
Here, 8 Johnson Lane. We abut the gas station in the back, so we look across to the property. What I have a question for is, one of the plans shows a big turnaround. It looks like, and I couldn't tell from where the duplex was, whether this turnaround you're going to have is going to go around the building. If so, how many trees are going to be removed? And because I couldn't find one that showed both the duplex and this rotary, and maybe you're not having it. And that's what my question is.
Could you
I can take
speak
that.
to that?
That's the by right plan. We have no intention of putting that there, but we're required to show what could be installed by right.
Oh, so that right there, you're not at the moment planning on having?
We're not ever planning on having. That will not be done.
Oh, that's thank you, because I was afraid of all the trees that might have to come down and where we're so close. Thank you very much.
Okay, you all set with questions, Joyce?
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your participation. Next raised hand, Kristen Sadie.
Yep, Tom Rogers.
All right, Tom, name and address for the record and your questions or comments, please, sir.
Yes, it is Tom Rogers and my wife Patricia at 15 Church. 2 doors down. We are abutting the back of the property in question. First of all, I just got into this Zoom on my phone. I'm down in Texas. I was in a car. I did catch most of what you said, but I just wanted to comment on the driveway. Number one, I appreciate that you've got that drainage system considered there, because that would have been a huge problem for me, because all that water coming down the hill ends up in my property. It's already washing it out, even the way it is. So I appreciate that you've got that little sprinkler garden back there. But the other point of the safety issue with the driveway there is the fact that we have been trying to close off that intersection with Central Street for years due to the safety concerns. The traffic whips around that corner. They actually did make it into a 90-degree turn, but it just by people driving, cutting the corner, they've made it into almost a straight run now. And that probably continue to happen at some point in the future. I appreciate your concerns about the plowing, but as Mike said, there's plenty of room there to store snow. So that's got to be considered as a viable option. And also the traffic coming down there is really detrimental to the people living in the church on the other side of Church Street. They have little kids, grandchildren running around there, and it's a really unsafe situation. If you want to see how many cars come down that road, you can look at my security camera footage, and you can see that there's a large number of cars coming down the street. Maybe 10%, 5 to 10% of the cars that come down the street, there's there's that many going up the street the wrong way on the one way. So
And the
it's,
stop sign.
and they blow through the stop sign like it's not even there. I've got all that video footage if you'd like to see that. But as far as that closing off Church Street, I think I'd like to be involved in a further conversation there. Then the second point is getting to Mike's comments on, having the new house back there. It's, where I used to look at woods now, and for the last 40 years, I'm going to be staring at a 2-family house, which, hey, I mean, you have the right to develop the property. I get that, but the least number of trees that can be cut down and the most, trees that can provide cover would be beneficial to everybody there. So I think that's the two things I had to say.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you for your comments. And if it's possible, you're at 19 Church Street.
15 Church. 15
You're at
Church.
15.
I'm right on the corner of Church and Downfall. So the stop sign's right in front of our house. I can show you how people don't stop at the stop sign. I can show you how people go the wrong way up the one-way street all the time. Cutting a corner, so.
Okay, well, if
Zoom
Mike,
right now,
okay, if Mike Becker can reach out to Tom too, and when you reach out to Mike at 17, that would be great as well. You guys can hash it all out together, walk the property line and look at trees, because you both share a property line with this lot. So
Yep,
thank you for your
happy to
comments.
have the involvement and the discussion. Can pass your info along to the planning department. I will I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to Mike, and we can walk the site and discuss what to do for screening.
Thank you. That would be very helpful for their concerns. And thank you, Tom, for your comments and questions.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other raised hands?
I think that's it, unless Mike, did you have another question or?
Yeah, I
Mike
just
F.
want to say again, I think that dead ending Church Street is a fantastic idea. I know a couple of the members had concerns about the snow, and there's plenty of room at that end when you connect those dots between the corner of the house and the end of the street there. There's a ton of space. Even a year like this that we have for snow, I definitely think it could accommodate for holding all that snow there. And I really, really hope that option is considered. I think it's a pretty fair compromise for a subdivision and satisfying all the neighbors. I think that's a pretty good compromise right there, and the safety and handling a safety issue.
Okay, thank you. Planning board members, do you have any other questions or comments after everything we've just heard?
Woody, if I could, and could we drop the screen?
Yes, please, Jack. I think Jack.
Great. So, Woody, this is probably more directed towards Kristen and Sadie. So if there were to be any roadway modifications, would that be coming out of the applicant's expense, or would that be a town expense, just for public knowledge?
I think in different parallel projects that I've seen, it's gone forward in different ways. As those of you on the board know, we just permitted a multifamily property on the other end of Central Street, on the other side of 95. And there was a similar reconfiguration similar discussion about the intersection nearby and how making it more teed off would solve some of the safety concerns. And that ended up being a condition of that approval, site plan approval, and was a responsibility of the applicant. Obviously, the town is involved because the select board has, jurisdiction over roads, with input from the Department of Public Works. So it was a process to sort of have those conversations and, have the discussion with the applicant. But it was a condition of the project that the applicant was responsible for. I think in other cases, the town has, adjusted. As we heard earlier, this neighborhood in Byfield has had some look at safety improvements over the years, and this was before my time, so I don't know how any of those changes were made historically, but I can definitely look into that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else for the planning board have any more comments? Questions based on what we heard?
Woody, just to reiterate what Kristen touched on, it's important to remember that the issue of dead-ending Church Street is a select board decision. It's nothing that this board has the authority to mandate.
Thank you, Larry. Okay. Other than that, I don't have any other questions or comments myself, and hearing none and no more raised hands.
Woody, sorry to interrupt you. I had a phone call from an abutter or a neighbor nearby. I think his name's Gary Scobert. I apologize, I don't have his address. He gave it to me, I just don't have it in front of me at the moment. But he had a question about trees in the back of the property. I don't believe he's present, but he expressed concern about.
He's on Johnson Lane.
Okay, yeah, yeah. He was wondering about, because I think he would be concerned if a lot of trees were going to be taken down on the back side of the property. So I believe it came up last time, but just to reiterate, what is the plan for the trees like behind the proposed duplex?
I think one of the comments in the peer review is to show the existing versus the proposed tree line. So we'll add that, specifically the proposed tree line, just so everyone can see where the limit of cutting will be. I think that'll clear. We've had a lot of comments tonight on that. I think it would be good to show that limit, and then it's on a plan and everyone can see it and we can talk through it.
Great.
Okay, thank you. And it would be helpful too with approximate house location and approximate driveway configuration, because there's some confusion too, as people thinking there's going to be a subdivision loop there, and there isn't. So that would be helpful for our next meeting.
Sure.
Thank you. So with all that said, if no one else has any questions from the planning board staff or raised hands, I'd entertain a motion to continue this public hearing for 15 Central Street, 15 Central Street to April 15th at 7:15 via Zoom.
You have a motion.
Thank you, Pete. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Roll call vote. Pete,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Steve,
Yep.
and I vote yes as well. All right, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you on the 15th, and good discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good night. Next order of business, old business, decision review for 2-8 Old Point Road, level 2 site plan review. As-built constructed changes to an approved site plan of record and a proposed new 40 by 40 pavilion at the Sunset Club at 2-8 Old Point Road, assesses map U02-0-153A, owner applicant, The Cottages Commercial LLC, Vincent Godin, manager. Welcome, Vince, and I don't know if Steve Sawyer's with you tonight or not, but
No. Don't think he
Thank you,
was
Ben.
needed, and I think he's still tied up in something in Newburyport.
Okay.
Well, I guess the latest update is that it appears the town council had a chance to review the document, and I had a chance to review. It looked like, pretty standard legal language that looked fine to me. So, don't know if the board had any comments on it, but everything looked good to me.
Okay, thank you, Vince. And Sadie, if you want to pop that up, does anyone from the planning board? You've all had a chance to review now, town council's reviews. Is there any questions on the decision? The decision changes based on Lisa Mead's review.
Woody, I'll have a few as we move through it, or I can go through them up front.
Okay. Sadie, do you want to go to the point where Lisa's changes were?
Yes. This is very minor reference change.
Yep.
Just some minor language here.
Okay.
And this was, I think, Steve, you had commented on this in the past, just more specificity surrounding the emergency flooding plan, just specifying that it should be provided prior to the issuance of a building permit for the pavilion.
Okay. Great.
Right.
And
And if
then,
I may, Woody, that's really addresses the concern. And I think it's a good one to keep.
Okay.
The other concerns I had voiced have to do in general about visual impairment. And I can address them quickly if you like. It's under conditions of approval, with H and I being the conditions that I would point to.
Okay.
I notice under H, which is lighting, there's a mention of where is it? Well, what I'm trying to do is recommend that we make H and I consistent with one another. Condition I talks about no flags, signals, kites, or banners being hung from the pavilion. I think that's a good idea, but it seems to me that that might also be something applicable to the illuminated sign that you see as you come onto the island. And that similarly, the illuminated sign is there, but there should not be any additional flags, banners, kites, or whatever allowed on that illuminated sign, just as we would not allow them on the pavilion itself.
Okay. I believe we addressed this in the past. If Vince would like to speak to that, I believe this has all been addressed in the past, that the sign goes off at the end of business and that you weren't going to hang flags and other banners and such off the sign, correct?
The sign has always had a flag stand on it. I provided, I guess there was a discussion that happened with town council that I wasn't a part of a couple months ago regarding this issue, and I provided some pictures that go back to the 70s that I got from the Machiro, showing there's the flag holder that's on this sign is the same one that's been there for decades. And there's always been a flag that's kind of hung there, whether it said, oil change or open or whatever it is said. So that's something that's been pre-existing, and it's not something that we added. And it's pretty consistent with pretty much every other business if you go down the island that has some kind of a flagpole to put, whether it's an open sign or something welcoming people. And I know there's been a discussion with town council, and my understanding that came out of that from the building inspector was that everything was fine.
Okay. Thank you, Vince. Anything else, Steve?
Well, right, but I'll note that the concern I had was having flags coming out of that existing flag standard, and I didn't realize it had been there for that long. But anyway, the flag itself would extend into what I call the public space of the roadway and sidewalk, or if there were a sidewalk. So I thought that, in my mind, that was part of the visual impairment, a potential visual impairment that I was concerned about.
Okay.
And
Anything
continue.
else? Anything else, Steve?
No, that's basically it all comes down to concerns about visual impairment and those three items I'm flagging for the board. And with that, I'm
Okay,
done.
thank you. Thank you. Sadie, anything else? We're on page 7, so anything else beyond in this decision from town council review?
Just specifying no occupancy permit for the pavilion shall issue until the applicant has fulfilled all conditions of approval of this permit. And
Okay.
I believe that's everything.
All right, thank you, Sadie.
Yeah.
Any questions from anyone from the planning board? Further questions? Anything from town staff at this time? All right.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that I know, Steve, you had brought some things up to the board before this meeting. I apologize, I can't remember them off the top of my head, but were those resolved? The height of the pavilion, I think we confirmed that it won't be higher than 22 feet, as shown in the sketches. And then I apologize, I forget the other thing that you had mentioned.
No, I think, thank you for remembering the height issue. I recall Vince submitted, or had a conversation with Kristen that the height is 22 feet. And I'm fine with, I'm fine with that sort of, and that we're specifying a number. But I thought that just as we talk about a 40 by 40 foot pavilion, the third dimension should be added as a condition, meaning up to 22 feet as proposed.
Okay.
So I would suggest that when we talk about just add the phrase, the 40 by 40 by 22 foot high pavilion will yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
Aren't usually the plans attached as a portion of this, or wouldn't that be my understanding that that would be something that would just be an attachment with the plans?
I believe so, Vince. Yes.
Okay. I would think that would
I
address it.
know we've addressed the height already in the past meetings. So.
And it's also, it's in the ZBA decision anyway.
Yeah, it's memorialized in that as well. So, all right. Thank you, Larry. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the level 2 site plan review decision for 2-8 Old Point Road as amended by Lisa Mead.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Larry. Do I have a second?
Absolutely.
I heard Scott and saw Peter's mouth, so I'll take Scott. Thank you, Scott. Roll call vote. Pete.
Speaking for Scott, yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Scott.
Speaking for Pete, yes.
Thank you. And Steve.
No.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. Thank you, Vince, and good luck with your project and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Have a good night.
You too.
Moving on to the agenda, discussion. K&R construction request to close out site plan review application at 84 Boston Road. Assesses map R36-0-2A. Owner Sled Road LLC, applicant K&R Construction Company. Do we have Kevin Whitney with us this evening?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Sadie, do you have a letter from K&R for from Kevin for closeout?
I will pull it up so we can go through it. Just give me
Thank you.
1 second. All right. Okay. So we received this letter last week from I think it was last week, from Kevin. This black text, I believe, is from the Millennium Certified letter, and this is the list of proposed modifications to what was approved. So the first modification is DMH1 was not installed. I don't know if you, Kevin, want to explain this modification?
So while we started the site work there, and our previous engineer of record there was Chris York. He has since he left Millennium during the project. But we hit quite a bit of ledge in the rear of the project, so he suggested some slight grading changes, and that allowed us to eliminate CB3. And with the elimination of CB3, DMH1 was no longer required either. Just as TJ took over our project, he stated in the letter that based on the way the site was graded, it was his opinion that removal of the catch basin was acceptable.
Okay.
Next.
And it seems like that second one is similar.
Mm-hmm.
Described. All right. Next is the location of the dumpster is different than the approved location, and the dumpster is not on a concrete pad or within a 6-foot high fence. And you've written the location of the dumpster per plan was poor planning on our part. It's at the far end of the property and not convenient for pickup. The current location is not visible from the street. And you've said if this is a major issue, we'll discontinue use and simply take our small amount of trash to the transfer station on a weekly basis. And the next one, additional pavement was added to the left access drive and behind the back left of the building. You've written we've decided it would be cleaner and easier for maintenance if the asphalt pavement connected from one driveway to the next entrance. This does not change the impervious area or the green space. The proposed gravel surface still drained to the catch basins just as the current paved area does. The gates at either site entrance were not installed. The applicant has determined they do not need a gate for their business operations. We've determined that the gates in the plan were not in a practical location and are not needed. Bituminous curb was installed instead of sloped granite curb. The bulk of this project was done during the time of materials shortage after COVID. Cost of granite curb tripled. Installing the granite curb would have been an extreme burden. The bituminous curb performs the same function as granite and is in kind to what is used at adjacent properties in the area, such as Newbury Storage and the town transfer station. Parking lot striping has been installed, but the handicap parking space has not been painted. Handicap spot has been painted, and we've received the picture from you as well. The business sign was not installed. You've determined sign is not needed for your business operation. Holding tank was installed behind the building to handle any flow from the building's floor drains. The tank was installed for interior floor drains. Inspection was performed by a plumbing inspector. A portion of the pavement for the access drive along the western property line is over the lot line. This pavement is in the area of the access easement, and the owner, Bill DeFrancesco, has been made aware and is okay with it. And then at our request, you've added information about the tree buffer and the lighting on the property as well. So those are all of the proposed modifications.
Good.
And I think, yeah, we had, me and Kristen had discussed beforehand that we wanted to just clarify that tonight's discussion will just be about these modifications that we've outlined here. And we will be going through the approval of the modifications, going through the process, voting on the modifications before discussing the as-built, so that any changes can be made in the meantime. And just to clarify, if we want to vote on each individually, we can, you know, wait to, we can wait until we're all on the same page about everyone before, and then vote on them all together or group them. It's up to the board how we want to go about this.
Okay, thank you. Pete, do you have any questions or comments based on what
So-
we've heard? And
So I just want to understand, we're going to go through the list we just went through to make comments on that before we talk about the as-built situation. Is that right?
Yes, I apologize if in Kristen's absence I was confusing things a little bit, but she went over it with me in detail, and we do have to go through the modifications first and then the as-built.
Right. So the modification about because I was getting a little confused as we were going through towards the end about the pavement for the easement. Can we just go through that one? Yeah, one more time.
Is it this one here?
A portion of the pavement for the access driveway. Then I have faces. I can't see anything more of that. Let me see if I can minimize the faces on my computer. Okay, a portion of the pavement of the access driveway along the western front is over the lot line. This pavement is in the area of the access easement. Okay, so the pavement extends into the easement. Am I understanding that correctly?
So the portion that we're talking about, Pete, is my driveway, the southern driveway. There's about 10 inches of pavement, less than a foot, that goes over the property line within that easement area. It doesn't seem to be a major issue. I've discussed it with Bill DeFrancisco. He's okay. He views it as an improvement to his property. And it's the area that he was using as a access easement anyways.
Okay, cool. And then as far as the dumpster goes, so the dumpster you want to put in a different location. Is it going to be on a cement slab as well?
It's currently on asphalt pavement.
Okay. And I think the reason we went with cement so it wouldn't eat into the asphalt, is that why? Previously?
I don't personally know why it was spec'd out as concrete. It's pretty common that, you know, it's just a very small dumpster. It's a little 4-yarder. It's not a big, giant
Okay.
thing.
Okay, great. Those are my questions. Thanks.
Mhm.
Larry?
Well, as I'm reading this correspondence, and correct me if I'm wrong, this stuff it's describing what's on the ground now, correct?
Yes, this was the letter that the engineer, Millennium Engineering, put together of items that were not within the original plans, alterations, modifications. And Kristen and Sadie recommended that I give explanation for each item.
I mean, some of it frankly looks, my gut reaction, some of it's pretty benign, like where you're going to put your dumpster, you know, whether or not you're going to have a gate or a sign. Others, you know, have to do with the drainage, et cetera. But if maybe of more significance, but if it's what's there now, I don't know why we just don't go to an as-built plan and have a peer reviewer look at it and get his input.
We have submitted the as-built plan. That has been submitted as well.
You have? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Just to maybe help answer the question, that, you know, the as-built plan does not, it it's focused on, the streets, the roadway, the utilities, the drainage, all those things were represented in the as-built plan and will be given a final review by a peer review. But some of these other things, lighting, tree buffer, it seemed as though the board was interested in having a chance to discuss those with Kevin. So that was why, at least I was thinking this work to have a two-phase. So you have an opportunity to review that all the conditions of the decision have been met, and then the final closeout is the final review of the as-built plan.
Have all the decisions been met? Have all the decisions been met?
Well, that's the discussion right now, is for you to review these updates from Kevin and determine if you are satisfied. I understood there were questions about the lighting, so I thought that would be something that could be discussed tonight. Kevin, maybe can you give a little update on that?
So the lighting was all installed. I supplied Sadie with some manufacturer's information, cut sheets on the lights that were installed. At the time, we were not able to get the exact brand and model that was spec'd in our plans. We got the same brand, and it's a very similar model. It's actually less lumens than what was in my plans. I highlighted them in yellow. I don't have access to pull my plans up to show you the lighting plan, but they are in the record anyways. But these are actually a lower lumen amount. And it was recommended by the supplier as a equivalent to what was in the plan.
I reviewed the decision earlier today and the original decision, and they're not, those aren't downward facing shielded lights. They protrude into the Greenbelt parking lot, and I believe I can see your three fixtures on the Greenbelt parking lot side of the building from the bridge on Hay Street. I don't believe it's self-storage. I believe it's your building. I can see those lights from a mile away in a straight line through the gap in the two hills at the dump. And I don't see how, with the lighting, I think you need a downward face lighting as proposed. It's my opinion.
Well, we could still shield them if there's an issue, I would imagine.
Because they spill onto the roadway and onto Greenbelt and into the woods. And it's a concern of mine, for sure.
All of my lights are on switches as well. We do not need to operate them overnight if that's an issue. They could be shut off at night.
I guess my response to that is, will they? I mean, I don't know how we agree to change that now with the decision that original decision that we have. Also, I've noted that you've said before in the past that you get security cameras, and I don't know how that works in the dark, but so be it. I'm not against you having your property lit at night with all that construction equipment there, but the spillover and the fact that that's not downward facing is a problem with me, and the fact that you can see the three individual fixtures from the bridge on Hay Street is a real concern. I know there's a glow in the sky and there's moisture in the air and snow from the facility behind you, but I can actually see the fixtures from the bridge. So that's a concern of mine. Do we have any more questions from planning board members? Scott, I guess you're next.
So what we have here is, it's really an applicant requesting modification, changes to the planning board. Is that what's in front of us, Kristen?
Yes, as a process of closing out, I thought it would be helpful to have a discussion about things that have been modified since the original decision, which was 4 years ago at this point. But I think, yes.
So
If there's any chance to like make sure that what is built is consistent to the degree that the planning board is comfortable, and then I think we can move to the official review of the as-built plan.
Okay, appreciate that. But I think looking at this project and then maybe projects moving forward, possibly using this project as a lessons learned, would it be better for an applicant prior to making modifications or taking liberties, for example, doing bituminous curbing instead of granite, and a number of other things that the applicant did in lieu of what they were supposed to do? Is it more appropriate for an applicant to come before the board, ask for a modification prior to actually doing the work?
Yes.
I can help you with that, Scott. It's actually letter O in the application, and one of our things is no modifications to approved site plan shall be made without prior approval of the planning board for the modification to be submitted to the board in writing, and shall be in most cases, I'm losing my cursor here, subject to the same submittal, review, and hearing procedure. So yes, here's the frustration, Scott. We signed off on this project in 21. It is now 26. And so there was one extension that I know of. I don't know if there was a second extension after that. I asked that question earlier and I couldn't get an answer. So I don't know if there's a second extension or if this application has expired. I haven't had that question answered yet. Kevin, was there a second extension?
I thought we did do a second extension.
So no, it's a yes or no. You either know you did or you didn't.
Well, no, I thought we did last year. That was my
Okay.
understanding.
So in 25, we did an extension. I mean, we'll check it, but so there was another extension in 25. Okay. So yeah, so Scott, nothing should be changed until an applicant comes before and says, hey, this is what I want to do. So you're right. It's already in our agreement, in our decision.
Okay. So I have been out there. I did look at I think we did a site walk out there. And we did look at we looked at some plantings. We looked at was it an access or a gate that was supposed to be installed, or maybe a little help from you guys? I mean, was that one of the conditions?
We were looking at a vehicle parked on the easement where there was supposed to be a gate when we were doing the site walk for the closing out of self-storage, Scott.
Yes, that's how I remember it. So
and there was a tree buffer at that time.
Yeah, and the plantings, are they what was originally, Mr. Whitney, were they actually what you installed per what was originally planned?
There was not an actual planting plan in place in my decision for that area. I believe in the decision I had to submit a planting plan to the planning director for review. And that was, we did do that, and now the plantings are in place.
Okay.
That was my understanding, and that's how we handled that with Kristen. Correct, Kristen?
Yes.
I'll tell you, I have an objection to this. I'm looking at J. It says a tree buffer at least 10 feet deep, consisting of native species compatible with the existing woodland trees, shall be planted along the northwest property boundary to replace trees that were removed for the temporary construction of the access road between Boston Road and Newbury Self-Storage Site. So I'll just a lot of the board members weren't here. The site was cleared before we even did our first site walk. So a natural corridor was taken away. Now, I don't think a small berm with a couple trees on it, and I think 3 trees is the number if I heard right, in any way would compare it to, if it's 10, just say 10 feet deep, it's almost 85, 90 feet, 900 square feet of what used to be a thick forest is in any way appropriate with a berm and a couple trees on it. Doesn't make sense. It's not what the intent was. It should not be allowed. And I am really, really bothered by it, to tell you the truth.
Well, the reason why we did a berm, Pete, is because it's all ledge out there and we had to berm up soils so that we could have planting material for the trees.
Kevin, was there a wooded lot there before you started?
Yes, it was wooded. And the trees have more than 10 feet of spacing between them.
Okay, so if there was woods before, I don't really care what you created to the site. What you need to do is reestablish what was there. And creating the berm and putting 3 trees, 3, right?
No, more than 3. I believe there's 5.
5.
If you look up the tree specs, though, you do not plant these trees that tight together. It's just not how these trees get planted. I submitted all the information to Kristen.
Kevin, let me explain to you. 5 trees in 900 square feet is not much.
I submitted all the information to Kristen.
I understand that. I'm clarifying to you what this decision was and what this board was. And if I need to have a side conversation with the planning director who wasn't here at the time, who didn't understand the depth of our concerns, I can have that offline conversation. But I'm going to tell you here in public that I'm not happy with this.
I'm sorry that you're unhappy with it. Within the stipulation, it didn't have a certain amount of trees. It just says a tree buffer, 10 feet wide, I believe.
At least 10 feet deep.
When you see depth, so you want me to have trees that are planted with 20 feet of spacing cannot have 10 feet of spacing. It's just not how the growth works of the tree.
Mixed variety is what it says.
And I did do a variety.
Okay, so
I do not have the documentation in front of me right now.
We can sit here and argue with one another. I don't want to do that.
No, me neither.
I'm expressing my frustration to you right now. Leave it at that.
Scott, do you have any other comments?
Yeah, so I mean, those are really my comments. I think this is hopefully it's an extraordinary type of situation. Hopefully we can get better as a town and as a board to really govern this a little better. But I did see the trees, Kevin, and whether they were 3 or 5, they were little trees, and the berm wasn't 10 foot really in depth, and there were trees there before, and whether they were surface rooted or all the topsoil had been stripped off the ledge, it's fairly easy to put a 10-foot berm in depth, at about 14 to 16 feet in I guess depth and width, and then depth in bottom to top. I think we could have done better there. But having said that, and I'm a little frustrated too. Yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Scott. Steve, do you have any questions or comments? I know this project was before you were on the board, but you've had
exactly. I find myself reacting to the term better governance that Scott used. I may have trouble pronouncing it, but I think you know what I'm getting at. I think that this project is perhaps another example of many projects where the town has not exercised good governance from the get-go but rather has waited until we've gone far down a slippery slope. And then we're trying to make amends when we're sliding down the slope at the same time as making a new decision. Maybe this is something that the board as a whole might want to talk about in a workshop sometime about what we can do to avoid starting down slippery slopes and end up with better governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I respect what everyone said, and the trees were intention. This isn't to be accusational, but at the time, the trees were because of the clear cutting and to be a wildlife corridor. The lighting, we've been on lighting since self-storage went in because of the glow in the sky and dock compliance, protruding light on neighboring properties. A shielded light is what it says in the decision. Downward facing shielding light. I remember you came back to us at a meeting for a modification from hard curb to soft curb, and then I believe that discussion ended with getting rid of the piles of rock that were on the property on self-storage property and come back, and you never came back. And then here we are today. So not to get argumentative or anything, I'm just pointing some things out, observations in the past that have gone on. When it comes to gates out front and stuff, the discussion items, modifications, discussion items, and we can do that as a board. We can go through some of the things one by one, but I think maybe best now, Kristen, you want to move on to as-built design now, or where are we going?
I think it would be helpful if the board gives Kevin some guidance on anything that remains a concern. It sounds to me as though the recommendation is, but I think the full board should do a straw poll or something about the lighting. Kevin's described that it's a lesser lumens than what was in the decision, but we also have heard that the decision, as Woody, you just said, required building mounted, shielded, and designed a direct light downward. And I think probably they need to be shielded. That's what I'm hearing, but I think that would be helpful to give clear direction to Kevin about that particular issue.
Yeah, I think the two issues that I've heard most frustrating to some of the board members here are the lighting and then the planting. So there's other things, I think other liberties, other changes that have been made that I think, speaking for myself, that I could live with. But I wasn't around, at the original, approval. But I do think the lighting and just the buffer, if that could be revisited. And I'm actually happy to meet, you out there, Kevin, walk around and spend some time, even get to know you a little bit and try to come to a solution. Happy to do that on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday. But I think those would be the two issues that I think I've heard, tonight that are of the most concern.
I appreciate it, Scott. I'd welcome that.
Very good. So is everyone in agreement that the lighting and the are the two major issues with the stroke wall? Pete?
Not entirely, Woody. I mean, they're also talking about eliminating a catch basin. They're talking about overflow from interior floor drains. We need peer review on issues like that. I can't answer those questions.
Oh,
Yep.
May I just a moment? The floor drain holding tank, that is for the interior floor drains in the building. it's any water drainage off a truck in the building is captured in a tight tank, which is not draining to the drainage system. It's similar to a septic tank that's sealed. And that would get,
that may be the short answer. I'm just saying it's
yes.
it's above my level of expertise.
Yeah,
And
and
that was-
Larry,
that was
Larry,
part of the plumbing.
I'm assuming that there would be a as-built, and Joe would Sawatka would be reviewing that. And
Well, that's
reviewing-
what I asked for at the outset of this discussion.
Yeah, that's, I would assume that, right, Kristen?
Yes, yes, we have said that several times. We have the as-built and it will be in front of Joe, but I was thinking it would be helpful to have this discussion in case there was anything else that was a concern outside of those items that will be reviewed by the as-built.
Okay.
I guess we've identified those then as the lighting and the planting. I mean, they're not mentioned in this correspondence here.
They are mentioned in that correspondence.
They are?
Yes.
Where?
That document that Sadie was just sharing.
Yeah. Did I miss them?
Do you want to put it back up again, Sadie? It's at the end.
Yes, wait, sorry.
Well, they're putting that up, Larry. The original decision was also sent out today. I didn't know if you got a chance to see that.
Yeah, I did. I have it, Woody. Thank you.
Yep.
And Scott,
Oh,
thank you. Scott, thank you for
He
the
does,
offer.
he does mention at the end the lighting.
So if the lighting is a major issue, I would imagine that I could install a shield on where necessary and to modify the current lights to eliminate like Woody mentioned, he could see the lights from down the road. You know, because basically we put a shield on it that makes it so the light cannot go straight out, but it's just directed downward.
Yep. And just to clarify, I can see them through the gap in the two hills, across the marsh, across the railroad tracks, on the bridge on Hay Street,
Okay.
not Boston Road. Just to clarify, that's there's three fixtures. I believe they're the three westerly fixtures. Easterly fixtures that face an overspill onto the Greenbelt parking lot for the Devil's Den area next to your abutter.
I could do that if that helps resolve an issue with the board.
Yep. Well, it's duly noted, but now as the conversation's gone on too, basically we're at a situation where your as-built, if it is complete, I wasn't understood that it wasn't under the understanding that it was complete, but the as-built needs to go off to peer review and then we shall meet again. So
Okay.
I really think that's where we're at. Just to be honest with you.
It was my understanding that Joe already had it a while ago. I didn't know that he hadn't reviewed because he did meet on site for a site walk at one point with me.
Okay, that's good to know. I don't recall seeing a review from Joe.
We have not
Okay.
received a letter from Joe on this, but
Okay.
we have had the as-built
All
for
right,
a while.
well, unless a board member disagrees with me, I think that's our next step in this process, is to get the peer review going, see what the concerns are that Joe finds, and go from there. We also need to determine if your application is expired or not, and see when the last extension was granted. I also don't believe you have an occupancy or a temporary occupancy permit. So that needs to be addressed as well. And that can't be addressed till the as-bilt's reviewed. And other than that, I think there was one more thing, but I can't think of it right now.
Did
I think
conservation
that's
sign
enough.
off on this?
Did conservation? Oh no, it hasn't gone through the conservation. It hasn't been signed off by conservation. I do recall you before conservation at some point last year, June, or I don't even know when it was.
So
There was conversation from TJ of the added pavement area, elimination of a storm drain, but I don't think you actually closed out with conservation. So
it
that's
was
another step in this process too.
it was my understanding Conscom said that they were okay verbally and they were waiting for closeout on your end. Because TJ did attend that meeting as well, on my behalf.
Okay. So we'll have to clarify that. I don't know if there was a closeout or not. And
Okay.
I would ask staff to speak to Mason and figure out if conservation has closed out. I thought they had, but then I heard that they hadn't. So, and I don't know if they have or not now. There's been all the other stuff as well. So it'd be nice to know if conservation's closed out. So I guess
My
can
understanding
continue.
is they're not, but I will confirm again with Mason tomorrow.
I talked with Mason about it on Monday, and he said that they have not closed out this project yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's where we're at with that as well. So I guess we should try and get the as-built. We'll get the as-built reviewed by Joe. It should have been sent out already. And we'll get that back and we'll get you on the agenda and get you to a closeout point and address the issues at hand. And I encourage you to go through the decision and look at some of the things like the lighting, and you can address those yourself as time goes on and shield them and help the process move along. So,
okay,
as opposed to coming back to another meeting and having another discussion and leaving again and it going on forever. So I encourage you to fix some of the things that you can now that you know that have been concerns of the board, and some of the things that you'd like a modification for, we can discuss and have a vote at later date and get you closed out. Kevin, I'd like to see you closed out.
Okay, thank you. I would as well. I will. We'll jump on the lighting right away. That's something we can definitely take care of.
All right.
I would. Woody? I'm sorry. Can I make a couple comments about things that are being discussed as well? And I know
Yes.
Steve has his hand up.
Okay. Yes, and yes, I can't see Steve's raised hand. My head's in the way, but yep.
That's okay.
We'll-
Steve, you go first.
Sure. As I listened to this discussion for a project that I wasn't involved in, and I found myself thinking that, gee, the board is picking off a couple of things that are of particular concern to them. And I find myself thinking that, gee, if I remember the public, I might have an issue that's of particular concern, but the board didn't raise it. So I come back to thinking about good governance again and say that the board shouldn't be picking and choosing items from a prior decision to say, well, this is important and this is important. The whole thing is important in my mind, and we should be looking at the entire decision. This is not to, single out Kevin and his project, but just to say it's illustrative of how the board needs to be systematic in seeing that its terms and conditions are met. And indeed, in some cases, not just rely upon the Concon or some other board to be making decisions. We need to see that we get what we want, and then if we're not getting it, take charge and not just pick and choose among those items. Thank
All right,
you.
well, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. And a peer review letter will spell out a lot of the things, because Joe will review the original decision and file back with a report of the things he sees. Then that'll give us the information we need, and we can go through the things from there and figure it out from there. So, thank you, Steve, for that statement. Go ahead, Kristen. You were going to say something?
I just wanted to respond that the question about whether there has been extensions was raised this afternoon, and I did have a few minutes before the meeting to do some research. I thought I'd update the board during the meeting, the full board. And there was an extension in 2023 that extended through 2025. There was, and that was before my time, but I found that information. And there was an extension request last summer, and that was approved. I have not yet found the minutes from that meeting, but this board approved an extension last summer. And Kevin has been in touch with me over the months since then about these issues. You know, take responsibility for good governance, as has been addressed tonight. But I will say that the authority in the condition about the tree buffer was given to the planning director. My working with Kevin on that this fall, I did consult with Woody. We had several site visits out there. Joe Serwaka was out there. Mason, the conservation agent, was out there. It was a wooded site originally. At the time, we were having the discussion about what a tree buffer could look like. It was determined that we did our best shot at creating something that would actually grow and be a viable set of trees. There was no expectation that this was replicating what was there before, but it was the condition, as I read it, put the authority in my hands, and I worked with consultants to come to the decision that it seemed like the best we could get. But I'm certainly happy to have other input on that, and I regret that I didn't do that in November when we were having those discussions earlier. But we did have a site visit out there, and I did consult with the planning board chair and the conservation agent, and also a landscape person who understood what the soils were out there. So that's a little background on that. I apologize to not update the board more on that at that point in time.
Okay.
There's also a condition in there about $1,000 on that topic, Kristen. About $1,000 contribution to the town's tree fund. Has that been made?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
All of the other conditions have been met. The one question outside of the final as-built review that I had was related to the lighting, and we've talked about that tonight.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Larry. So next steps, get the as-built peer review, make sure the as-bilt's complete, and we will put you on a future agenda, Kevin, so that we can keep this ball rolling. And just please stay in contact with staff so that we can get you on an agenda.
Yes, I'll do that.
Sadie, do you have your hand raised, or is it an accident?
Sorry, I just wanted, just for my own understanding, do we still have to vote on the modifications before the as-built happens, Kristen?
No, I believe we don't have to vote on the your list of modifications you had up tonight. We'll get the as-built, we'll get Joe Schwacka's peer review, and we'll get through it from that point on, get it back on the agenda. And then we'll go through what is actually on the ground and what was proposed. So we'll get through all that at a later date. Kevin, thank you, and have a good night, all right?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Next item on the agenda as we approach 9 o'clock. New business, 170 Orchard Street, request to change water supply from Byfield Water District to private wells. Assessors map R20-0-43A. Owner Michael J. Pizzaro, excuse me if I said that wrong, Fields Realty Trust, and the applicant is Michael McNiff.
Good evening. This is Bob Griffin from Griffin Engineering, and to my left, there he is, Michael McNiff. So, hello. Our Zoom connection works again. So this is a pretty simple request, but and construction, as you may know, is underway. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yep.
Oops, I need a. Okay. There we go. And hopefully you can see the site plan with some blue circles on it. Can you see that?
It's loading. Yep, there it is.
Okay, so this is the proposed plan, and I'll just flip back to the originally approved plan. the originally approved plan had a 8-inch water main coming in from Orchard Street, about 800 feet with a hydrant, 2 hydrants on the main. There's an existing hydrant out here on Orchard Street already. And the proposal is simply to replace those with individual private wells on the 4 lots. This will obviously save some construction costs, but it actually improves the fire protection on the houses. These houses will also be built with sprinklers. That was not part of the original plan. And so Mr. McNiff has been to the fire department. We've showed them the proposal and they're satisfied. I think they think it's an improvement too because of the improved fire protection. It also removes a concern we had about potential stagnant water in the very long water main. So I think we'll actually have a chance of getting better quality water as a result of this change. And the fire department also, I think, recently reviewed the turning radiuses and the trucks. We had provided some information on that a couple of years ago, but I don't think it had the current fire chief was aware of it. So we refreshed that issue as well, and I think we're all set with that. So I'd be happy to address any questions you have. I've got more plans from the original approved set if you'd like to look at any of those, and I'd be happy to address your questions.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I'll start with Pete. Pete, do you have any questions or comments?
Sure. Hey, Bob and Mike, it's good to see you, and I'm glad the train's not going by at 7:30. The bad news is you're here later in the day.
Okay.
Hey, could we drop the screen for a sec? Because I love to talk face to face.
Yeah.
Just for a sec. So, you know, I'm a safety guy, and I'm a big believer in safety stuff. I didn't understand the conversation that you had with fire, because all that we have is a very short email. So I'm not sure what their comments were, hydrant versus sprinkler. But I don't know if you're aware, you know, just, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, 13th of March, we had a really devastating fire here in town. And water supply was a big issue. And we actually had 5 fire departments show up here, and we still had a total loss of the property. Now, we're talking about sprinkling something, and I'm going to give you like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, there's a power failure and there's a fire. So will all of these homes have backup generators? And if they will have backup generators, because, you know, that would be necessary, would those be propane based? So I tease me along the conversation so I can understand why the sprinkler, which is not on a municipal water service, is going to be on a well, which is going to be requiring electricity that I'm going to tell you, let's just say it goes out and there's a catastrophic event. What's going to be the safety feature in that? Because otherwise the fire department has to go all the way down this road with the truck that has 750 gallons of water, then call for a tanker, and then call for another truck. And you can start to see the congestion. And I mean, we just played it out 2.5 weeks ago. So make me feel comfortable that this makes more sense. And if it does make more sense, what's going to be the backup to make sure the sprinklers work?
Okay, so I'm not an expert in fire suppression systems, but I have seen residential, you know, remote buildings with tanks in the basement to hold the water, and battery backup for the pump that pumps the sprinkler system, which I think is intended to provide the function of the generator that you described. So I don't know exactly what all of the equipment is that goes into each of these houses, but I do believe that what's being proposed meets the code and obviously meets, you know, your fire department's okay with it. But we could probably get more information on the backup power question, because I just wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, no, truly, if this hadn't happened a couple of weeks ago, it probably wouldn't be as hot on my radar screen. But
Okay.
it is, and so, you know, we can talk about it. So whatever the backup is, you know, batteries don't last very long, you know, on things, because
Well,
motors take up.
No,
it's a
but I don't
start
think I don't think the fire suppression systems are intended to, you know, run for hours either. I think they run for, you know, the particular period of time, and the tank's empty, or the well's empty, whatever, you know. So I think there's a time period that sprinkler system is intended to operate for. So I don't think it has to run forever.
So
I
then,
think the tanks are 300-gallon tanks.
300 gallon. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pete.
Yeah. So a truck rolls up with between 500 and 750 gallons of water in it. and that's what it has to use. So would the fire hydrants be remaining at the end of Orchard? Would those stay, or were you going to be moving those?
There's an existing fire hydrant on Orchard Street right now, and that would remain there.
Okay. So if there were a catastrophic event, they'd have to run lines from that one fire hydrant.
Right.
The one fire hydrant.
Yep.
The houses are separated quite a bit. I don't know the density of that fire that you talked about. Not that that's a great answer, but I think that's one. And I know we've been putting at least 100 in Wenham. We put in the tanks. They preferred that. And actually, we may have been putting in 2 300-gallon tanks. They're about, if you've had them, they're about the size of oil tanks. I think in Wenham we were putting 2 of them in there.
Okay.
And the battery backup on the well is a pretty common battery system that they're using now.
Okay. I appreciate the clarification. Look forward to learning more.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. Larry, do you have any questions or comments?
I mean, I don't, I'm just looking at the March 25th email from Keith Grant from the fire department. This is, he says, I'm trying to catch up. I have not seen the revised plans, only talked about hydrants versus sprinklers, but doesn't say much more about that. And then he goes on, the revised layout, the turnaround hammerhead, I assume he's talking about the hammerhead at the end of the common driveway, does not appear to accommodate our apparatus and he cites the Code of Mass Regs. Is the hammerhead the same configuration that we approved initially?
Yeah, I can show it to you, but in response to his email, I sent him a copy of the swept path analysis that we did when we submitted the subdivision application, which shows that the fire truck, the Newbury fire truck, the largest truck, can make it around the cul-de-sac and can also do a 3-point turn at the end of the driveway. There's been no changes to the layout of anything really since the project was approved by the planning board.
Okay, and tell me again why you can't lay the water lines?
So again, there's the issue of cost. There's the issue of availability of materials. So we're having trouble getting cement line, ductile iron pipe at the moment. There's the issue of improved fire protection through the sprinkler systems. There's the issue of stagnant water in the long water main with only 4 houses on it. It does allow us also to keep the cornfield in the back beyond the cul-de-sac for an extra year. Since we're not cutting through there to install a water main, we probably won't install that driveway this year. The cul-de-sac and the connection to Orchard Street will be paved later this year, but we'll limit the work this year probably to that section if we don't have to install the water main.
Right. Well,
if I could interject one thing, Larry, the fire chief and the fire prevention, Mr. Evans and Keith, there's a subsequent emails that are out. I don't know if you got them, Kristen, or not, where Keith said that he has received the plans and he's good with that. Mr. Evans said he was good with it, but he knew he couldn't make the decision. I don't know if you have that email, Kristen, where he said he knows it's a planning board decision, but he's good with it either way. One of the things, in addition to having trouble getting this material, if you've been out there, we do have the roadway roughed with the cul-de-sac in. We've been trying to keep it maintained to the best of our ability. I think it's been brought up with Chris and a number of times we go out there. I think so. We're staying upon the cleanliness of it. But in our discussions with Greenbelt is that, and I talked to Mr. Herrick, they would like to go out and keep as much agricultural as can. If we could keep the wells and just focus on this year on the first 2 houses, because we won't get into those next houses till next year. They'll be able to go in, which is good for me, to and the Greenbelt to keep the agricultural going and keeping the access out there for them, because it looks better when it's with the corn and mowed rather than the weeds that are going to develop if we don't touch it for a couple of years. So really it allows us to finish that cul-de-sac, get in there with the water and worry about the 2 houses out there and do the agricultural. and the water preservation. So it's something we can hope we can do.
Great. Well, I mean, I'd feel a lot better about this if we had a very, very clear statement that this was an improvement in fire safety. And I'm not seeing that just yet.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Larry. Scott, do you have any questions or comments?
Did you say there was shortages in ductile?
There is definitely some problems in getting ductile pipe.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever consider plastic?
We have approved on this plan ductile iron pipe, and I assume that was something the water district wanted.
Okay.
We are
ideally-
approved from the Byfield Water too.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, so I mean it's a far better really outcome. I think it's proven, you know, an automatic sprinkler system, you know, off a municipal water supply is clearly really best. You know, from a well, you know, it's been done, it works, but it's not ideal. So I guess either way, I think I'm not as concerned as Larry on the really fire safety. I don't think it is you know, automatic sprinklers in single family homes. I don't think it's a requirement from the code, right?
No, I mean, as approved, we have obviously the public water line with hydrants and no sprinklers.
Yeah, so I do think seems to me like it's an enhancement. But I think there's some questions here that we've heard, you know, power goes out. I mean, if those can be answered, I think you'd probably get some support there. But other than that, I don't have any questions. Any other questions?
Okay.
All right,
And
thank you, Steve.
thanks for your patience tonight.
Okay.
Steve, do you have any questions? Thank you, Scott.
Well, I think we've already noted that talking to the fire chief is appropriate, and probably talking to him in 2026 after the major fire that Pete described might also be appropriate and give us some good input. And so that's what I would recommend doing.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. I kind of agree with everything the board said. I'm not against having wells there. Sprinkler systems are there to be the first respondent till the truck gets there. So, you know, they're made to run for that first 10 minutes of response time. So that's, you know, they're helpful, and I can see why the fire department required that. So a little clarification for that would be great, from the fire department, you know, saying that they're satisfied with that. And I believe the hammerheads are the same. So that's fine. It's when you get this truck stacked like they did on Fruit Street, and they all run out of water and no one can get out, and then you're calling DPW to get sand and salt on the ground because people are falling down because there's ice on the ground from water from putting the fire out. You know, there's multiple concerns. So if the power goes out, a little faith and stats on the system, sprinkler system, would be great to satisfy my concerns there, because if the sprinkler's going to run till the fire department gets there, that would be very helpful. And I understand there is a hydrant up front on Orchard Street, but that requires running some lines. So I think that's pretty much everything covered. I don't, as long as you guys understand what you need,
Right, so we'll get some more information to address the question about the power supply and the backup power supply, and we'll try to get something, a statement more explicit from the fire department. When is the next meeting?
I believe it's on the 14th or the 15th.
Okay.
Correct?
15th.
Sadia? Yep.
15th.
Yep.
So materials would be due by Wednesday next week.
Okay, we'll see if we can get it pulled together by then.
Okay.
I do have something I don't think I've heard talked about yet is the DEP regulations and Title V regulations around septic and wells. Could you talk about that, Bob or Michael? Because my understanding is you haven't submitted septic plans yet, and there are specific regulations around nitrogen loading.
So the nitrogen loading requirements are basically, 4 bedrooms per acre. These are all, 1 acre lots or 1.1 acre lots, and we have a lot of unused acreage. We got 13 acres that's going to agriculture. So there's no issues on being able to satisfy the 4 bedroom per acre, I don't think, on this, this tract of land. There are setbacks from wells to leaching field. It's, I think, 50 feet under Title V, and it's less than
It's
that.
100, might be 100 feet.
Yeah, it's 100.
No, that's right. So, I'm getting my irrigation wells and my drinking water wells mixed up. But anyways, but the well locations that I put on the plan that I sent you is at least 100 feet from all the leaching fields. I did check that as part of the process, and I also checked the neighboring properties to make sure there was no leaching fields on those properties that would interfere with the well locations that I picked.
So has that all been reviewed by the Board of Health or the health agent?
I
The
don't-
locations of the septics on the abutting properties and identification of the buffer required?
It hasn't. It would be at the time that we apply for a well permit. So this, obviously we're not applying to the Board of Health for a well permit at this time. We're just asking for the planning board to approve the change from a water main to private wells.
We know where the septics are going because of the perks that are out there. So I don't think the locations of the septics are going to change at all. We can't put them in the front of the houses. We have them shown on this plan. Is lot 4 shown? I don't see it. Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, all 4 septics have to go in that area because that's the places we got the perks. And that was measured. That's why the wells were more than 100 feet away. We sent the information to the Board of Health, but we didn't get a response at this point.
Okay.
Okay. What I understood was she hadn't received the plans yet, so I'll check in with Deb.
Okay.
But it sounds like you've sent them.
Well, I'll send them again. And I'll ask her to just look at that question, so.
All right. Yeah, yep, that would be great, because if they had some approval there too before the next
Okay.
meeting, that would be helpful for the board. Anything else, Kristen?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you, Mike, and
Okay,
we'll
guys.
get you
We'll see you in a
on
week. Thank you.
Get you
All
on the
right.
next agenda if the.
Thanks for your time.
Good night.
Have a good night. All right, that's the end of the business for this evening. Unless anyone from staff has anything to say, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Nobody wants to go home? I'll move to adjourn.
No, so that's the problem.
Second.
Motion to adjourn and second. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Scott. Roll call vote. Pete, Larry, Scott,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
You all have a good night, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you for your patience this evening.
Thanks, everyone.